So today's presentation is Freedom for All. It's one of Neville's books. It was from 1942, I believe. Yeah, 1942, which is crazy to me to think about because it was like I've actually just recently been there's this YouTube channel that does AI generated translations of dictators during this time period. And I was listening to Joseph Stalin the other day. Yesterday, I was listening to Mustache Man the other day, and today I listened to a little bit of Joseph Goebbels as well. And I gotta be honest, man, these guys sound like they're talking today. Like they might as well be politicians here in America today. I was like, this is crazy to me. But yeah, Neville wrote this book in 1942 in the middle of a war. So if there's anything that's going on in your life and maybe you're worried about what's going on in politics, which like if you're a normal person, maybe you are. I worry about politics all the time, but that's just because I love history. Um, this is kind of a testament to the idea that, you know what, the world's gonna world. There's gonna be wars and rumors of wars. And despite all of that, we have our imagination and we can create what we want to not only bless ourselves, but bless those that are in our life. So I'm going to read this introduction, which is not actually in my Neville reader, but is on coolwisdombooks.com. This opening from Neville before I get into the presentation. He says, public opinion will not long endure a theory which does not work in practice. Today, probably more than ever before, man demands proof of the truth of even his highest ideal. For ultimate satisfaction, man just find a principle which is for him a way of life, a principle which he can experience as true. I believe I have discovered just such a principle in the greatest of all sacred writings, the Bible. Drawn from my own mystical illumination, this book reveals the truth buried within the stories of the Old and New Testaments alike. Briefly, the book states that consciousness is the one and only reality, that consciousness is the cause and manifestation is the effect. It draws the reader's attention to this fact constantly, that the reader may always keep first things first. Having laid the foundation that a change of consciousness is essential to bring about any change of expression, this book explains to the reader a dozen different ways to bring about such a change of consciousness. This is a realistic and constructive principle that works. The revelation it contains, if applied, will set you free. So let's jump into it. Freedom for All by Neville Goddard. So what I've done in today's presentation, you guys, is like he said, this particular book is super repetitive. Basically, every chapter is him using scripture to point out the manifestation process. And as I read this book, I read it a couple times actually. It's a quick read. It's 9 chapters. I I distilled um like nuggets from it that should help you guys once and for all really nail down the process of manifestation that we can apply not only to the big things, but the small things as well. But if we can actually, like he said to do, practice this method, y'all are going to see some changes. I've been going back to first principles like we did last week with living in the end. I've been going back to first principles like um, at the beginning of the month, I decided to manifest climbing the ladder. And I don't know if y'all know what that is, but Neville Neville would have lectures, and then he would have free lectures or something, and he would tell the people in the audience that they could go to bed at night imagining that they're climbing a ladder, and then they're supposed to go through their day with notes around their house and thoughts saying, I am not going to climb the ladder, I'm not going to climb the ladder. And then every night for three nights in a row, you go to bed climbing the ladder in your imagination. And then at some point, you'll find that you climbed the ladder. Well, I decided to go first principles and really test that out. And I would go to bed imagining climbing the ladder. And sure enough, within the last week, I found myself climbing the ladder. And not only did I climb the ladder, I didn't actually even realize that I had climbed the ladder until after I had gotten off the ladder. Which is another testament to you can't know and figure out how the manifestation is going to come to pass. Your only job is to ask, which is what we're going to talk about today. How to actually imagine, how to actually pray. All right. So let's just dive right into it so we can actually really nail this down and really apply this to every area of our life, so we're not always in this, is it going to work, is it not going to work? All right, so first, let's recognize the oneness of God. Unconditioned consciousness. Unconditioned consciousness is God, the one and only reality. By unconditioned consciousness is meant a sense of awareness, a sense of knowing that I am apart from knowing who I am. I'll say that again. A sense of knowing that I am apart from knowing who I am. The consciousness of being divorced from that which I am conscious of being. I am aware of being man, but I need not be man to be aware of being. Before I became aware of being someone, I, unconditioned awareness, was aware of being. And this awareness does not depend upon being someone. I am is self existent, unconditioned consciousness. I became aware of being someone, and I shall become aware of being someone other than this that I am now aware of being. But I am eternally aware of being, whether I am unconditioned formlessness or I am conditioned form. All right. So first things first, and we're gonna keep repeating this as we go through this lecture. But first things first, I want you guys to close your eyes as you're listening to this. So if you're driving, just heighten your awareness. If you're driving, don't close your eyes, but just heighten your awareness. But if you're not driving, you're sitting there, just close your eyes for a second and let go of any conditioning or concept that you have of who you are, and just become aware that there's someone who's aware without condition, unconditional love, unconditional awareness. The one that's aware of the thoughts, the one that's aware of the stories, the one that's aware of the clothes, the chair, the one that's aware of any of the feelings and sensations. Can y'all can y'all can y'all understand that? This self-existent. Like you don't need to know what you are, or even who you that yeah, or who you are. All you need to know is that you are. I am that I am. This formlessness is the first principle. And if you can sit in this unconditioned consciousness, you can shift to any consciousness, any conditional consciousness. And the current conditional consciousness that you know to be true about you, that you are aware of, is a state of consciousness that you have accepted as true. And we're going to dive into what I mean by this in the next slide. So if you can grasp this idea that before any of the stories, any of the problems, any of the difficulties, any of the awesomeness, any of the wins, any of those things, before any of that, there's I. That's the stillness. All right. So this I am, this unconditioned consciousness is Jehovah, the Yod He Vav He that we are about to dive into. The subjective state symbolized as Yod He Vav then objectifies itself as He, thereby completing the mystery of the Creator's name and nature. Yod He Vav He. This is also chapter 2, by the way, of Freedom for All. Yod is to be aware. He is to be aware of something. Vow is to be aware as, or to be aware of being that which you were only aware of. And then the second He is your visible objectified world, which is made in the image and likeness of the Yod He Vow, or that which you are aware of being. So we started with I am, just plain old I am, unconditioned, unsullied, untouched, never been affected, never can be affected, is the pure power and wisdom that is aware of you. And that awareness of you is the Yod He Vav He. So everything that you see in your physical world is actually mirroring what you have accepted to be true about you. That's the Yod He Vav He, right? So you are aware, you are aware, and you're aware of something, right? And then you're aware that you want to be something, and then eventually it will objectify itself. So the reason why you're experiencing what you're experiencing out here in this 3D world is because you went through this process of Jehovah. You are Jehovah. This idea that you have of yourself right now is because you are Jehovah. You are the Yod He Vav He. That's why you are experiencing what you're experiencing right now. Now, that said, if it is that that's the case, and you want to make a change, you want to see something different, whatever it is, you might be having a good time right now and you just want to have a better time. You drop into your Jehovah. You become aware, and then you become aware of something. So you nail down what it is that you want to be aware of. Now you're aware of this. Now you want to be aware of something completely different. And then you want to be aware of being that which you are aware of. So let's say that you, and again, we'll get into this as we dive deep. It gets clearer and clearer the way I make this out to be. But again, I'm going to repeat myself. You are aware and then you want to be aware of something. I'm aware that this thing that I want exists. New car, new clothes, new relationship, better relationship, different relationship. Okay. And now you want to be aware of that thing, right? You want to be aware of it. You want to be aware of being that thing. And then once you become aware of being that thing, the 3D world will objectify it at some point, right? So, yada val, that which you are aware of being, right? So, diving even deeper, we take our knowledge of Jehovah, and then we go and see how it works with the rest of Scripture. So, Noah had three sons. Noah had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Noah is the father, the creator, the Noah. That's the Yod. Shem is the one that names it. It's the idea or the urge, the desire, the word. It's the defined objective. It's the thing that you are aware of. That's the that's the first hey. Ham is warm. It's alive. It becomes conscious of the thing desired, feeling, condition, consciousness, right? So your true self is unconditioned consciousness. Ham is the conditioned, is the feeling of the conditioned consciousness. So in your current sense self, right, isn't aware of this, isn't Ham. Japheth is the objectified state bearing witness of the invisible subjective state. This is the hey, the second hey, visible proof that you know the secret of creation. And I put that bit in there because I thought that that was really cool. Because that's how I'm approaching this now. Because now that I've climbed the ladder again, I've climbed the ladder many times, but I was really deliberate about why I was wanting to climb the ladder at the beginning of this month, because I wanted that proof of the secret of creation. I wanted visible proof of that secret creation. Because if you can nail climbing the ladder, you can nail anything else. So Neville says consciousness calls things that are not seen as though they were. And it does this by first defining itself as that which it desires to express. And second, by remaining within the defined state until the invisible becomes visible. Here is the perfect working of the law to the story of Noah. The very moment you are aware of being, this awareness of being, this knowing that you are, is Noah, the creator. So the Jehovah or imagination, there's nothing that can be made without it. So everything in your physical world was once imagined, came through your consciousness. Okay, but it's outpictured itself because within yourself you stayed in this state of consciousness, so it can be reflected back to you because you've remained there. But just because you've remained there, remember, you are truly unconditioned consciousness. So you don't have to stay there. Because you're in this state of consciousness, you have desires for things like to be in a completely different state. So you know who you are, and now you have this desire or urge, and you've now defined that urge, that desire, and now you become conscious of this new condition. And if you dwell in this new condition, it objectifies its world, and now you have proof that you created it. Now, most people don't recognize their own harvest, but you guys do because y'all are awesome students. So good, bad, or indifferent, what is showing up is because of the conditioned consciousness that you've accepted to be true. All right. So moving on, we dive into, and again, these are all the same. They're all saying the same thing. Whether I'm talking about Jehovah, Noah, or Isaac, these are all the same thing. It's throughout scripture, it's like this, according to Neville. So Isaac, check it out. Isaac was a blind father. He's your awareness of being. He had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau is your current objectified world, your current concept of self, right? You can sense him, you can touch him, right? I have my phone in my hand, I have this, my bank account says this, my scale says I weigh this much, so on and so forth. Okay? It's your present concept of self. That's the world of reason and senses. This is your logic. This is your reason. This is your ration. And Jacob, right? He's the one who supplants Esau. He's the desire. He's the subjective state. He's the one that you hold on to in mind. Idea not yet embodied. He's your defined objective. Okay? So when we put these three characters together, Isaac, the blind father, Esau, the current objectified world, and Jacob, the supplanter or the subjective state, you have the formula for creation. Your consciousness is the cause of the world. The conscious state in which you abide determines the kind of world in which you live. Your present concept of yourself is now objectified as your environment. And this state is symbolized as Esau, the hairy, the hairy.
Seeing that he's frozen.
Test 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me? Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, you froze for a little.
One.
Yeah, you're good. It's just letting me. It just let me know that my computer's unstable. All right. Where did y'all last hear me? Test. Hello.
I forgot.
I'll just go back. I'll just go back to the paragraph. All right.
Yeah.
So your consciousness is the cause of your world. We've already determined that in the beginning. All right. There's only one cause. The conscious state in which you abide determines the kind of world in which you live. Your present concept of yourself is now objectified as your environment, and the state is symbolized as Esau. So the 3D world is Esau, the hairy and sensibly felt, the first son. That which you would like to be or possess is symbolized as your second son, Jacob, the smooth skinned lad who is not yet seen, but is subjectively senses and felt, sensed and felt, and will, if properly touched, supplant his brother Esau or your present self, present world. Again, we'll dive into how this all works. And we already know, but this is worth repeating because, man, it's so simple once you really nail this stuff. Okay. And if you really practice this, and we'll dive we'll dive into why I think this is so important. Of course it's important because this is what we were here for. So Isaac, all right, the blind father is, he's the one who gives blessings to life. When you're giving life to the lovely, it's that awareness of being aware, completely unconditioned awareness. And what most people do with their unconditioned awareness is put their attention out here in this physical world and be like, this is all there is. The thing is, and here's a trick, Neville doesn't say this, but the thing is, if you think about it, you're actually Jacob. You've never been Esau. But because you're actually Isaac, I know this sounds crazy, but because you're actually Isaac, the blind father, whatever you put your attention on is what you're going to get. So if you put your attention on Esau, That's what you're going to get as Jacob. Jacob's always playing what dad is always paying attention to. Now, here's the thing about the story about Esau and Jacob. Isaac sent Esau out to go find a kid, a goat. Okay. And when Esau went off to go find the kid, Jacob came in wearing fake fur, and came up to his dad Isaac, pretending to be Esau. When Isaac was like, come close so I can feel you. When he said, come close so I can feel you, he felt the hairy lad, and assumed that it was Esau, assumed that it was real, and gave Jacob the blessing. When Jacob goes away, and when Esau comes back, he goes up to his father and says, hey, I brought the kid. And Isaac says, I already gave Jacob the blessing. All right. So Isaac always gives Jacob the blessing. But if you're putting your attention on Esau, you're always going to get the kid as opposed to the supplanter. Now, what do I mean by this? Most people are putting their attention on the external world, Esau. And because they're putting their attention on the eternal world, that's what they're giving their blessing to. If you put your attention on that which you want within yourself, into your subjective state of mind, you have way more options as to what is possible and true. It's not yet embodied until you give it its blessing, which we'll get into. So always bear in mind the fact that Isaac, the father of these two sons or states, is blind. He does not see his smooth-skinned son Jacob, he only feels him. And through the senses of feeling, he actually believes Jacob, the subjective, to be Esau, the real, the objectified. You do not see your desire objectively. You simply sense it, feel it subjectively. You do not grope in space after a desirable state. Like Isaac, you sit still and send your first son hunting by removing your attention from your objective world. Then in the absence of your first son, Esau, you invite the desirable state, right? You invite the desirable state, your second son, Jacob, to come close so that you may feel it. Come close, my son, that I may feel you. First, you are aware of it in your immediate environment. Then you draw it closer and closer and closer until you sense it and feel it in your immediate presence so that it is real and natural to you. Right? So remember Jadhe Vadhe, right? You are aware, you're aware of something, and then you become aware of being that something, and then it visibly objectifies itself in the world because you gave it its blessing. So when you go into your imagination, right, most of the time what happens is we close our eyes and we're like, okay, I am this person, I am this person. But no, you haven't actually sent Esau away. You actually have to send Esau away. You have to send the physical world away. The world of your senses, all the reason, all the stories need to go, and you need to go back to what? This unconditioned consciousness. You need to go back to Isaac, the state of Isaac. And once you're in the state of Isaac, then you can allow Jacob to supplant him by calling him near, saying, come closer so I can feel you. One of my favorite teachers, his name is Edward Art, constantly says is like, let it be true. Let it come to you. So when you close your eyes, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly how you want to be and all this stuff. You already know. All you need to do then is send Esau out and say, I'm done with you. And you close your eyes, blind yourself to all sensation that says that you are this old state of consciousness. And then you allow the new state of consciousness to come closer and closer and closer until you sense it and feel its presence, feel its normalcy. Okay. And then with that, once you felt it and you know it's true, you got it within yourself, Esau comes back and is like, yo, what happened to my blessing? And the father says, I already gave my blessing to Jacob. There's nothing I can do. I've already given it to him. So again, your rational mind comes in saying, it's not here yet, or it's not this, that, the other. But your awareness says, yes, it is. I already gave it to Jacob. And this is what we call the Sabbath, mental rest. This mental rest, which follows a successful conscious impregnation, is the period of mental pregnancy, a period which is made for the purpose of incubating the manifestation. It was made for the manifestation. The manifestation was not made for it. Automatically, you keep the Sabbath a day of rest, a period of mental rest, if you succeed in accomplishing your 6 days of work. There can be no Sabbath, no seventh day, no period of mental rest until those 6 days are over, until the psychological adjustment is accomplished and the mental impression is fully made. So, what is he saying here? He's saying that mental rest that you were seeking, that which is a knowing, I know that I am this person, can only come if you've gone through the 6 days. And he doesn't mean 6 physical days. He means that's the amount of time it takes you internally to give the blessing to Jacob. Once you've given it to Jacob, the blessing's been done, and Esau can come to you as many times as he wants and says, hey, I'm not this, I'm not that, I don't have it yet. But it's all good because you're living in the Sabbath. In fact, you wouldn't even be dealing with Esau anymore because you're resting. You already know it's done. You know it's so. The subjective knowing is followed by the Sabbath or mental rest. You will be as one buried or entombed, for you will know that no matter how mountainous the barriers, how impassable the walls appear to be, your crucified and buried Savior, your present subjective fixation, will resurrect himself. By keeping the Sabbath, a period of mental rest, by assuming the attitude of mind that would be yours if you were already visibly expressing this freedom, you will receive the promise of the Lord, for the word will be made flesh. The subjective fixation will embody itself. So Jacob will embody itself. Very simple. So you want to get to that state of it's done. I already know it's done. And I've heard y'all. I know y'all have experienced this because y'all have shared y'all stories with me. But it's bearing repeating. So that way, if we can really nail what's going on in this presentation and really make it simple and really apply this to all areas of your life, good, bad, indifferent, big, small, doesn't matter. When you practice it, you'll start nailing this and you'll realize it doesn't take long. I'm gonna just a side note. I brought up the ladder earlier. When I had climbed down the ladder, I was holding my son and I was talking to my other son, and I started laughing because I was like, "Oh my God, I climbed the ladder." Then I really started thinking. I was like, "I think I've actually climbed the ladder a lot a couple weeks ago." Actually, now that I think about it, and I don't think it actually took more than a week, if I'm really thinking about it. But I wasn't really paying attention. I was just living my life. So sometimes we don't even know that the manifestation has even come to pass. It's already done. You might miss it, is my point. So there's a number of examples that he gives in the book, and I just gave one because time. So here's a very practical example that you can test and see for yourself. I gave the ladder experiment. There's some others. But in this chapter, which chapter was that? I didn't write it down. It doesn't matter. Um, well, let me find out which, because now I'm distracted. Da, 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 da. Mm. All right. Well, I can't find it right now. I messed up. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. There it is. Um. Oh yeah. Chapter 4. Same chapter. Okay. So in this chapter, towards this practical example, he gives 3 examples. He gives an example of um about manifesting a thing, a physical thing. He gives an example of manifesting a specific place, and he gives an example of collapsing time, putting yourself in a point in time. So in these examples, he talks about the idea of bringing there here, bringing then now, and 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 I found them to be quite fascinating, especially what he said about time. I should have used that quote. But let's break down what he says here in this in this about manifesting a physical thing. It says the blessings or making a thing real. Sit in your living room and name a piece of furniture, rug, or lamp that you would like to have in this particular room. So look in your space right now, or imagine the space that you want to be in, to be your room right now. I know I want a rug, so I'm actually practicing this. Look at that area of the room where you would place it if you had it. So look at where you would put the thing. And then close your eyes and let all that now occupies the area of this room vanish in your imagination. So you can look at your room, and if you close your eyes, you can probably still get a sense of where everything is that's in your room. Even with my eyes closed, I see where the bed is. I see where my desk is, my lamp, my laptop, another lamp over there, this lamp here, my phone's right there. In my mind's eye, I know that that's where everything is placed. And then what he says to do is let the room vanish, which is send Esau out, send Esau away, get the story of what you know to be true away, and get into that unconditioned consciousness, get into that yod. In your imagination, see the area as empty space. There's absolutely nothing there. Now begin to fill this space with the desired piece of furniture. Sense and feel that you have it in the very area. Imagine you are seeing that which you desire to see, and continue in this consciousness until you feel the thrill of its possession. He says thrill, it doesn't necessarily need to be a thrill. It's just that feeling of knowing that it's in your possession. And when you get that thrill or that feeling of possession, that's when you can let it go. So it might take you some time as you're practicing it, but as soon as you get the feeling, you can let it go. And if you feel that you haven't gotten it, you can maybe do another session tomorrow or later today. But you do it again and you do it again. Why? Because we say, come closer so I can feel you. Okay. So I feel like I rushed through all this, but let all of this be simple. So in the other example, let's just bring up the other. I just really want to take, make this come home for you guys. So he says in the second one, he says the blessing of making of a place real. So let's say you want to go on vacation, you can't afford it, and you'll want to have this luxury vacation, right? You are now seated in your apartment in New York City or wherever you live, contemplating the joy that would be yours if you were on an ocean liner sailing across the great Atlantic. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Your eyes are closed. You have consciously released the New York apartment, and in its place, you sense and feel that you are on an ocean liner. You are seated in a deck chair. There is nothing around you but the vast Atlantic. Fix the reality of the ship and ocean so that it is that in this state you can mentally recall the day when you were seated in your New York apartment, dreaming of the day at sea, this day at sea, right? I remember when I was living in New York. Recall the mental picture of yourself seated there in New York, dreaming of this day. In your imagination, see the memory picture of yourself back there in New York. This is a little difficult. I hate this exercise because I've tried it. I don't like it. There's way easier ways of doing it, but I'll keep reading. If you succeed in looking back on your New York apartment without consciously returning there, this is why I have a hard time with it. Because it's like if I'm in the apartment, it's hard for me to go where I want to be in consciousness and then look back. I've just never been able to figure out how to do that. I need to just practice it, I guess. But remain in this conscious state, feeling the reality of the ship in the ocean, feel the joy of the accomplishment, then open your eyes. You've gone and prepared a place, you have fixed a definite psychological state, and where you are in consciousness, there you shall be in body also. Then third, he says the blessing or making real a point in time. And this can be a big one for folks that like have time deadlines and stuff. You consciously let go of this day, month, or year, as the case may be, and you imagine that it is now the day, month, or year which you desire to experience. You sense and feel the reality of the desired time by impressing upon yourself the fact that it is now accomplished. As you sense the naturalness of this time, you begin to feel the thrill of having fully realized that which you before started this psychological journey in time you desire to experience at this time. With the knowledge of your power to bless, you can open the doors of any prison, the prison of illness or poverty or a humdrum existence. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. So you aren't bound. You are in prison. You are in a state that you don't want to be in. You want to see a shift. You want to see a change. But you just can't. That's fine. Take your attention away, send Esau away, and give your blessing to Jacob by being still and knowing that you are already the person that you want to be. And practice this. Practice on big, small, doesn't matter. Just practice it and practice it again and practice it again for another thing. Take the time, take a minute, take 3 times 3 to actually sit in the knowing that you are this person by doing what? Becoming aware that you are aware, right? So that way your attention isn't on this physical world. And then give yourself the blessing that you're looking for by calling it near. Let it come to you. You already know what it is that you want. You have the definite aim. Now allow it to show itself within your mind's eye as far as feeling with your imaginal senses. And then once you've really felt that thrill, that knowing, oh, it's done, you can wake up, open your eyes. And Esau's right there saying, "Ah, my bank account still sucks. My weight's still up. This person still isn't showing up the way I want them to show up." But within yourself, you're like, I've already given my blessing to Jacob. It's all good. I'm staying in the Sabbath. It's all good. I'm chill now. Nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to doubt. It's done. So that's it. That's all, you guys. Peace. Hair grease. How was that?
It was good. Um. Yeah, I'm gonna do that ladder exercise. I'm gonna try that.
Hmm. Yeah. Once you've tried that, I had a list of other things that I wanted to test out. But one of the things that's also been occurring is um I've been imagining hearing from people that I haven't heard from in a long time, or hearing compliments and stuff like that. That's another thing I'm testing, and that's working itself out. And I'm just basically just, what am I doing? I'm just testing it. I'm testing it on things that I don't really care too much about, because it's what's building my trust in this process. Because I'm being honest with you guys. I am very addicted to making the outside world change, and I'm not changing myself within. And that's the invitation. So practice the ladder exercise. Do it I did it 3 nights in a row, and then I dropped it. I think I maybe did it again one time during the afternoon because I was like frustrated that I hadn't climbed a ladder or something random like that. And then I forgot about it. So
I just had a quick question. Just to be clear, so the ladder exercise, thinking you're climbing a ladder?
no,
I
you're actually climbing the ladder within your mind's eye.
oh, like you're thinking of climbing a ladder.
You're not
And you're
thinking
feeling
of
it.
climbing the ladder. Yeah, there it is. You're feeling, you feel yourself climb that ladder.
Got you. I
Like,
was just checking, making sure
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
on the right track.
yeah, yeah. Grab, feel yourself lift up on the ladder. That's what I did. I couldn't feel my hand. I did it with my feet. And it's so funny because like the ladder that I climbed wasn't actually that tall of a ladder, but I climbed it. And the funny thing is, it was there the whole time. That's what's another trip. It was there the whole time. It was there the whole time. So, you do that, do it with another thing, do it with another thing, and you realize how simple it is. Then eventually it should get to the place where it's like, okay, what do I actually want? And of course, you could do it for what you actually want. But if you're really trying to really nail this, it's always good to go with the fundamental. So do y'all want to try the ladder experiment this weekend?
Yes.
most definitely will be trying it. Not trying. I will be doing it.
Terry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys already have your successes, but this is more so we can like really experience the process, so that way we can apply it to any. Because a lot of self-development, all this stuff they talk about, you have to do shadow work and you have to do, you have to love yourself first, and you have to. No, that's not at all. Like, of course you love yourself because it's who you are. You are love, right? But that's not what Neville ever talks about. He never says you need to love yourself. You are love. So don't worry about all that stuff. Just do the process. I am love. I am unconditioned consciousness. I am unconditional love. And I can put my awareness and unconditional love on any state of consciousness that I choose. Right now, we're experimenting this weekend to climb the ladder. Cool?
Yes.
Aye.
All right. Well, that was a fun one. I really hope that that was a blessing to you guys, and I look forward to y'all's check-ins. I don't know how long it's going to take y'all to actually climb the ladder physically. I'm not worried about that. What I'm more interested in is y'all getting used to using your senses internally. So the ladder is interesting because you can physically feel yourself lift up, lift on the rungs of the ladder. Like, feel your knees push up, And you push up on the ladder, you get to the top of the ladder, you do it again. You do it again, you do it again until it feels like you actually climbed the ladder. Like, to push back on what Robert was saying, it's not thinking of climbing the ladder, it's actually climbing the ladder. All right?
Guys, what's going on?
All right, you guys, I'm gonna let y'all go. Terry's sounding like he's having baby issues. Paula, you have a good day. Robert, you have a good day. Terry, you have a good day. And I will talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Have a
You
good
too.
one, everyone.
What was that, Paula? I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said, okay, you have a great weekend.
Okay. Bye, you guys. I'll send y'all the recording in a little bit. Peace.